Agi lang. Dito na yan. Pag pumasok ka doon ka na. Yan ako. Yan. 6. Oo, Panginoon. Tigadena. 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 Chain.
Remove the...
Itampalo, no? Wait! Get out! Tawag ka ba? Tamaan ka dyan. Oh.
Yeah, just repeat. You cannot think very blade. The blade is here, the wood blade.
Good evening, welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 488, and tonight we'll be talking about Ricketts faction, what makes them unique and different, and PG Guro Brandon's tour to US, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think is in early August. I think he arrives here to the West Coast. So, and also joining us, besides him, will be Guro Viko and Guro Jeff Cruz. And here we go. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. And we're just getting started. Here we go. And where's Boy Wonder? What the hell's he doing? There you are. Thought you left us.
Oh, no.
So you guys saw the video. If I lower the bottom, we could certainly play it again. And I have the other one that you sent me. So yeah, I got them both down there. So, all right, let's kick it off. So, your father's actually, what made him decide to create his own faction? Were you ever told that, or like, what made him decide to kind of do it?
Well, it was more of because the whole faction started when they actually moved over to the U.S. and so just to be able to kind of promote illustration. So it was really more of that, to be able to promote more of the legacy of Tatang to continue on, especially in the U.S. as it was going, because during that time, of course, he had Bakbakan as well in the Philippines, but he wanted to focus a lot more on the illustration side of it. So moving to the U.S., Tony Diego was in the Philippines, and so coming in from the U.S., kind of spreading his art more, just to see how it was. I guess you could say it wasn't really more of like an own faction sort of way. He just really wanted to kind of spread the legacy for the most part of Tatang. It just so happens that as the years went by, that it became more of like an actual faction. I guess, or how other people would call it.
So his initial when he moved over here, his initial goal was not to have that. It was more to spread the art, and by virtue of doing that, he said, hey, I might as well kind of brand it. Is that kind of what happened?
It was because the whole branding and everything actually came from, it was him, I believe, Duran Sordo, and I think Mang Yuli. I'm not sure if he was also talking to Mang Tony as well, but the one thing I remember was that all of them were kind of talking together, talking about kind of like how the logo was set up and how it was kind of, and how to start promoting it. But it was really just more of this kind of spread the legacy. That was really kind of the main goal, was just so it doesn't get lost. It is really that, actually.
And so obviously word got around, kind of started growing it. If I'm not mistaken, got into the Asano Academy and so, okay. And just about what year was that?
This was because when my older brother and my dad were going back and forth to the U.S. This is, I think this is like around. I think that the time we moved was around 2004, if I'm not mistaken. But he was already going over there kind of before that, probably like in the early 2000s or late 90s, kind of things like that. So it wasn't until around like 2004 was when I got a lot more serious, like with it, meaning being part of the conversation, kind of listening in with what's going on. Because during that time I was a lot younger, so I didn't care much about the martial arts community. I cared more about the video game community, if that makes sense. It was that time.
Oh, I thought it was dancing. It was video games.
Oh no, okay. Not yet. Dancing kind of came later on.
Okay. So video games was before the dancing. Okay. They're not allowed in my house, so I have no idea what those are. So
That's okay. It's no problem. But
if they ever
yeah.
come in here, I'll smash it with a bat. So hey, let me see here. I'm just catching up on comments. Just bear
Oh
with
no,
me here.
yeah, go for it.
Damn, Steve. He's a funny guy. Chris Chu. All right, Mike. Who's that guy? Mike Macabenta. All right, you guys wanted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to kind of ask if you guys want to kind of compliment. So, Guru, Viko, Jeff, you got anything you want to add to?
Yeah,
Brandon's
feel free.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, of course, Guru Viko is my senior, but by the time I got into the system, Master Topper, although he gave us a taste of other systems and whatnot, like Gocho, all the vast knowledge that he had. At least for me, when I came into the system, he personally told me that, Jeff, I'm all Kali Lustrisimo now. From the time that I came in to the time that he died, he was all KI. I even asked him about Lameco. I said, "Well, Guru, you're the top guru at when Edgar Solite passed away. Are you gonna take the reins and stuff like that?" No, he said no. I'm leaving that to the Solite family. My goal now is to be KI all the way through. So that's what basically, like I said, my experience is that I got the taste of all the goodies that he had, but he was totally committed to KI at that point when I came in.
Okay. Guru, Viko, anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, Jeff, we all have different parts of experiences with Master Trooper. So I was blessed enough to train with him, in the late 80s, early 90s. So this was with the Bakbakan group, and we had all the masters under one roof. It was a brotherhood, like everyone knows. And so we'd have Ilustrisimo, we would have Mocho through Alex Ko, we would have Sagasa, right? And then, of course, Western boxing. So it was a mix of all of that. So I was blessed to have that with all the different masters coming in and training with us. Of course, first and foremost, Master Tupper was the head instructor. So most of my time was with him. And then when, of course, obviously, I had moved to Australia and started practicing and teaching there. And while I was there, Master Tupper then did move to the United States. And so since I had an American wife and I would come over there and visit, of course, I would train with Master Tupper and experience what Jeff was experiencing. And also with Guru Brandon and his older brother, Bruce. And so I had that experience. And then, of course, after he passed away, he did say, please train with Master Tony. So I was blessed to also then train with Master Tony even more, partially when I was in Bakbakan, but then more concentrated after Master Tupper with Master Tony in the Philippines. But because of the foundation in Bakbakan, the Ricketts lineage does have a flavor that's quite different, right? And I think you might want to call that the faction, but I would just call that the signature, right, of the Ricketts lineage.
And we're definitely going to get into that. So PG Brandon,
Yes.
let's just get that across. So your father was obviously a significant part, not just a pillar, but from the foundation up. I mean, obviously you had the incredible, which you are now in the hands of yourself, the whole video collection. Why is it that, and I want to just word this very carefully so people don't get upset. Why does it seem that his name, legacy, what you're trying to do is just not as well known. And is it possibly due to the fact that when you, I mean, you guys were young, so your older brother moved to do the restaurants,
Mhm.
you followed suit. So obviously it was difficult to kind of perpetuate and progress this farther when you obviously were heavily in the restaurant business. Do you think that has something to do with it partly? I mean, I know Jeff was running the fort back home and obviously doing a great job with that.
Yeah. I got to give it to first to Guru Jeff for also holding down the HQ during the time that I was gone and everything. Still kept it going. Also with Guru Viko as well. And see, the thing is, I mean, it just wasn't promoted as much. That's the one thing. It was because I mean, even from how it was from back in the day, my dad kind of had this kind of old school mindset where if you catch us, you seem interested, come on in. But if not, then all right, I'll just kind of keep going. It wasn't so much as really promoted out there as much. It was really more of that. So I mean, besides that, after my father passed away, my technically by kind of in terms of the how it was kind of passed down, of course, was first passed down to my older brother, but then he passed it on to me. But he was a lot more, of course, busy with the restaurant. So, it's, making money just to help for the family and everything. So, I mean, it was tough for both. I mean, I kept it going, but after a while, when I moved back, helped out in the restaurant, but then, being in the restaurant, it really wasn't for me. It was just tough. But after a while, I was like, I'll just kind of try to get back into it. And so every now and then it's just more of, I have a hard time kind of promoting it, like how I should normally do. But now, it's getting different where this time I'm actually asking for help, like for example, like from all my other like instructors. Like, I have Guru Jeff, Guru Viko, also with you as well. Dean kind of helped me out, also putting us, in the spotlight, kind of giving a voice. But everyone's kind of doing their part this time, as opposed to me thinking that, I could just try to handle everything. But with everyone as a team, it's really more of that. So I mean, nowadays it's really just more trying to promote it from how it was before, because all those wasted years, it's about time, just to kind of really push it out there. It's really
Yeah.
it's really that.
Yeah. I think it's long overdue. I just remember having that talk with you. I can't even tell you how many years ago. When I started training with you, I'm like, why are you not putting your father's faction out there? Like, well, what are you doing? And well, I mean, obviously, I'm glad you're doing it. What do you think you need to do to grow it, get the word out there? I mean, you have this incredible video archive. You have people that generally have your best interest and that want to see you succeed. I think you know that by now. So, like, what do you think you could do collectively, like, to grow it more, to get the word out there, and maybe go beyond your original father's intentions?
See, the way I see it, it's more of, well, one, I gotta build kind of more of a really strong team. How to even like kind of maybe can try to get more people involved, just to kind of post them in like different parts. That's one thing that I've been thinking of. But then at the same time, I got to make sure in terms of kind of the quality of everything, like all of us are always on the same page and everything. Because with me being in nursing school as well, there's that kind of time. So my time is always limited. So that's where I'm always going to be, asking for, because I'm still young. So I'm still learning as I go. So I'm always going to be asking for advice. I have no shame in asking for advice from
No, nor should you.
from
Yeah.
anyone, because it's always like a learning experience for me. So I mean, with the promoting itself, I mean, the seminar will definitely help, kind of for people just to kind of to get to know me, get to know kind of like how, I wouldn't really say like, I guess you could say how I move, but at the same time, it's more of um, how my dad's teachings, but also kind of always looking back and forth from the archives actually helps change and makes, I guess you could say, makes my moves different from others. You can say it's just really more like what Guru Vika said earlier. It's really just more of a different flavor. It's really just more of that, but promoting more, let's say, social media, posting more. It's really more of that. I was always the type that, posting was like, oh, is this good? I don't know. Will I get likes from this? I'll probably just delete it. I was kind of like that person. But nowadays it's more of, it's fine. There's always gonna be someone hating on it, but it's all good as long as it's out there. Sooner or later, someone will appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
I
more of
mean,
that.
you're gonna have the naysayers. Trust me. I mean, from FMA discussion, I can tell you all about that. I mean, but you're highly renowned. You're highly regarded. People know you're non-political. I think yeah. I mean, I think it goes without saying you should obviously be pushing this agenda. But you guys want to add anything?
There's someone on the corner. I'm
No,
like, hey,
I,
what about
I,
you? Bro? What about you?
I totally, totally understand that, and that's basically why we came into the show. Is that we want to make sure that the people understand that we are united in propagating what Master Topper has accomplished. You know, with all due respect, with the other with the other pillars, if you will, I believe that Master Topper equally has a lot of material and skills to offer through the curriculum he has put together. And I think it is what it is. The people forget. People forget that, and I'll say this now publicly: Master Topper was instrumental in bringing KI to the U.S. Yes,
Say
there's
it.
other people who has of course they have their own thing, but Master Topper, if anything else, he paved the way, even through Bakbakan, through all the stuff that he did. And I think just by that alone, people need to really taste the flavor. I mean, because like Brandon was talking about, uh, it is a distinct flavor. All the top guys, from Tony Diego to Master Yuli to et cetera, they have their own thing. But Master Topper, in my humble opinion, and yes, I am biased, is unique. It is something that um worth promoting, and that's why Viko and I, as well as Brandon, is committed to doing that through seminars, through eventually the launch of our website, which is going to be the hub for all things Ricketts related KI. And eventually we'll probably expand that, Lord willing, to the other things that Master Topo was involved in, like Sagasa or Gocho or whatever. That's the vision that we have. He has so much to offer that we feel like this is the right time. This is the right opportunity for us to start doing that.
It's a good point. One of the things I've suggested to you, Brandon, in the past is you got to somewhat kind of reinvent yourself. And that doesn't mean like drastically change stuff, but you have to like offerings, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think Jeff touched upon something. What do you think on that? Like, far as what he offered? In other words, the whole thing with Sagasa and all that. Like, is that something you would like to launch?
Yeah, actually, it's because when it comes to Sagasa and Gocho, um, my dad actually, like, towards the very end, because growing up, Sagasa was already part of it, but Gocho was actually one of the ones that was actually emphasized a lot more on me, and so it actually really plays a big role with how the Illustrissimo kind of comes in, at least how my dad taught it to me, and so definitely there will be kind of a section where, okay, there's Sagasa. When it comes to Gocho, I'll be kind of very specific with it, because in terms of also techniques and like in terms of teaching and everything, I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, I can teach it, but if I really want to have like I really want to make sure, like, the quality is at is at its peak, I'm actually gonna have like someone come in and kind of help out with that particular section. For example, like Duran Sordo, he's the one who really kind of focused a lot on that. Also coming with Alex Go. Alex Go was my dad's teacher when it comes to Norchokun, so that's actually something as well, because I'll have to get specific people for it, especially on certain parts like that, because I want it to be, I want to make sure like the quality is really good. It can't just be more like me just teaching it. Excuse my language, kind of like half-ass, and then it's like somewhat just like that in terms of quality. And I don't want it like that, because especially with my dad's legacy, how he taught it to me, how he wants to get passed down. Because technically, Mochokun is also not just my dad's legacy, but also his instructor, Alex Ko. So it's all part of it, one big circle, I guess you could say.
Guro, Viko, anything you want to add?
I mean, it's true. It's Master Trooper's style of teaching, and because of the background in Sagasa, because of the background in Mocho, I would say didn't change the fundamentals of Illustrissimo. It actually enhanced it, and supported key elemental foundational principles of Illustrissimo, like the use of the left hand, the use of the hips when you have the power, moving to the side. I mean, Mocho's got that left hand internal power, strength, short range. Tagasa's moving to the side and to the footwork and dodging. I mean, those concepts are really also found in Illustrissimo, right? So this is kind of like what we are hoping to bring out to the world, right? To the other practitioners is that element, that signature, right? To the Illustrissimo art. And so that's just one thing to say. And the other thing is, I also don't want to also gloss over that there was also somebody holding the fort for Master Tuper in the Philippines, and that's Duran Sordo. He was the one continuing bakbakan there, with God bless him, Monsieur de Rosario's gym, as well, the Taekwondo gym. They were holding back. He was the one maintaining the legacy in the Philippines as well. So there was Guru Jeff in the Philippines, in US, and then you have, Brother Duran work also in the Philippines holding it together. So the point, and then so that's just wanted to make sure that there was both sides were holding. Both geographies had someone holding the fort. And then the second part is, I could speak to the past. My Master Tuper taught, when we were in Bakbakan, some students lean towards more Mocho than Sagasa, or which like I would say Duran was really the good Mocho. He had more styles than the basic Samchen style. And then some guys really focused on Sagasa. Myself, like I only learned the first two and just practiced Mocho on the basic and then the next level up. But for Sagasa, that's where I really liked it. So to Pununguru Brandon's point, there are certain people within our team that you can point to and say, hey, yeah, if you really want to deep dive in Mocho, go to Duran, right? So this is I think the beauty of this group here is that we carry, even though it's Illustrissimo, we carry those other backgrounds behind us too, right? So that's just an enhancement, right, to the art, Illustrissimo art in itself.
Is Duran, I know, obviously, just talking to him, how he, obviously how he feels about your father. I mean, that goes without saying. Has he indicated at all to you, PG Brandon, that he would come aboard, help where needed, or like supplement or anything of the such?
We've been talking. Actually, we met up recently. I think it was like about a week ago. I think, was it? But yeah, because basically a student of my dad's. So because he teaches Lameco, so Dino Flores had a student kind of came in over. So went through some private sessions, and then when he went with KI with me, he focused with Duran with Locho. So as I was going over like the when I went over there just to kind of hang out with them, Duran was teaching Gotcha to him, and it was like me and him would have a conversation and everything about it, where I would tell him like, hey, if ever you want to come aboard and help us out with this, um, why don't you and everything. But he's definitely willing. That's one thing.
All
He's
right.
definitely willing
Okay.
to kind of help out. So that's two thumbs up for him on that one.
That's great to hear. No, that's great
Yeah.
to hear. That really is. Yeah. He's a great guy. Yeah. He's
Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
yeah. No, I mean, from what I know of him, yeah, all my interactions with him and yeah. Have you considered, besides the two you guys are talking about, other things that you would incorporate under the umbrella of your faction? In other words, like what's trending now? Like I know you have this umbrella of Ricketts FMA and then of course San Diego, but have you thought about any other things that you would put under there?
Actually, it's more of because I've been incorporating a lot more of. I mean, if we're looking at it from so there's two things, right? So you're looking at illustration from more okay, if you're sparring and the mindset is blade, and there's that mindset, right? So you can't really. I mean, you can try to grapple if you want to, but mainly you're not throwing really any kind of like punches or things like that or kicks. But for the stick one, then this is where you can kind of have an experiment where okay, I've been getting into more of like the grappling part of it, and also kind of using more of like the punches and everything. But the thing is, I have to be kind of careful with who I spar with and who I teach it with, because how my dad would say it all the time, if you get hit with a stick, it's fine. But if you get punched in the face, it kind of feels a little bit more personal. So you gotta be careful with who you're kind of like teaching it to. You don't want them to take it the wrong way. But that's where kind of I guess you could say how I'm not sure if some people have seen my videos where I've also been kind of incorporating more of kind of like a boxing kind of mindset to it, just because it kind of just works for me. And so that's kind of like another part where, okay, well, why don't we do a little bit of, I guess you could say, some would call it illustrational boxing, some would call it stick boxing. I wouldn't call it blade boxing, because if the mindset is blade, I wouldn't be doing any of that. If the mindset is stick, though, then that's something I'll be kind of, bobbing and weaving and things like that. So that's going to be kind of part of it. Just because growing up, Western boxing was also part of that whole system growing up. So that's definitely something that's going to be offered as well. And,
So-
with the grappling as well later on. We'll see how it goes. It's a lot more open than just purely just like illustrational, because I have to basically also kind of show what my dad taught me like growing up, because it just like what Guro Viko said, it really enhanced it. It really enhanced kind of how I move with illustrational because of all of these other things. I mean, it didn't make it really different. It's not like saying I'm doing anything like crazy different, but it looks illustrational. But there's a certain kind of flavor to it, kind of like fried rice, right? Yeah, fried rice. You just kind of keep adding on to it, and then the flavors change. For example, let's say I give you Dean like this basic fried rice, and then Jeff is like, oh wait, here, let me add some butter on it. Or wait, no, wait, Viko comes in. Oh, let me add some soy sauce. Oh wait, let me add some sake on there. You know what I mean? It gives off like a different flavor. It kind of just. Now I'm thinking about food. Sorry, it's early morning here, so it's kind of breakfast time for me. You know what I mean? But it's basically that. It's kind of like fried rice. But I think you guys get the point, hopefully.
I just think I would just try to tap into other things, not so much from the lens of reinvention, but offerings, you know what I mean, that others are not doing, there's a question just came in, hold on. This is from Richard Pack. Will the other disciplines that will be included in the KI curriculum, so folks in different parts of the U.S. or countries can also participate in them as well? That's from Richard Pack.
Yeah, I mean, it would be part of the KI curriculum. I guess you could say more of, depending who who they're training under, depending on what kind of emphasis they have. Let's say for example, they go with Viko, right? And then so they kind of have an emphasis a little bit more on the Sagasa aspect of it, you could say. And then let's say one will go with Jeff. they would have more a different aspect of a lot more of an old school kind of approach when it comes to illustration because Jeff was exposed to not just my father but also my older brother as well besides me. So they're each one had a different mindset to certain techniques. And if they meet with me, it's more, oh, okay, well, we'll probably work on gocho, or maybe let's just teach you how to bob and weave. You know, I guess you could say each kind of instructor will have like a certain specialty to it. They can teach also everything, don't get me wrong, but there might be an emphasis depending on who the instructor would be, like what they want to emphasize on, you know. And I guess it's like their specialty.
If I may interject,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, please. Come
basically
on.
how Master Topper taught me. You know, the foundation was KI. He's always given that basic foundation, but out of that foundation, he gave us a taste of Sagasa. He gave us a taste of Gocho. He even gave us a taste of praying mantis at one point. So there was like understanding that yeah, we're there for the KI, but to get a more rounded approach, a more rounded view of what we're dealing with, he gave us that perspective, and I think that's what we're trying to do here. We will KI as Master Topper is always going to be on the forefront. That's always going to be, and I think we all can agree in that that's going to be the foundation of KI USA going forward. You know, but having said that, we are also in the mindset of Master Topper. We want to experience Gocho. If that's the case, if we want to have somebody who's interested in Sagat, and obviously we have Guru Viko to incorporate that in. So we want to make sure that people understand that it's Ki as Master Topper taught it is going to always be the centerpiece. The other stuff is going to be circulating around that, if anything else.
Yeah, makes sense. Chad, fresh perspective. Yep, definitely strong foundation with progressive additions. Yeah, absolutely, Chad. Progressive additions. Yeah. All right. Anybody else before I go to next?
Yeah, I like what Chad said there. By the way, I want to say hello to Richard and Steve, and I think even Coach Arnold is on. So hello, Musta. Um, but the Chad, so it's also nice to part of it. Part of the reason also I believe that we want to have Master Tupper's legacy out there is to know him also as a person. We can tell stories about him. What does that mean? He there one thing that what did he value as a martial artist, right? And and a lot of the values that he had reflected on what he taught frequently. So let's say, for example, the boxing or the sagasa, right? Master Tupper, if you are not in condition, if you couldn't do 6 rounds of repetitive action techniques in the right form with intention and intensity for 6 rounds, then you can't progress. That you need to be in condition. So and what did he use to what was a reflection of that? It'll be the sparring. It'll be the series in Sagasa, repeating the series all the way to series 7 for 5-6 minutes, 3-round minutes, right? Just to be in condition, right? And these are the fundamental things he would put as a foundation. Being in condition, doing things repetitively in the right form, under pressure, right? Get that established. And then you also start to train with Illustrissimo. And then you've got this great, arsenal with you, right? That you just don't move, but you can last in a sparring situation, right? You can, so this is part of the things I want to emphasize, that we can also communicate to everyone. Like, who was Master Tupper as a martial artist? What did he value? What was the ways he teach? Because in some way, shape, or form, with all the other, let's say, Illustrissimo classes out there or factions, you train long enough, you all end up at the same point when it comes to understanding techniques, knowing the techniques, and explaining techniques. It's just the difference is how each side gets to that same point. What do they emphasize first? And that's what I want to stress.
All right. Let's get on to the signature. So, VG Brandon, what makes your father's faction unique? What's the signature move? What's stylistic? I mean, is that something he put right from the get-go to set him apart, or is that something that kind of just evolved over the years?
I think the one thing it's more of, because I can't really say specifically that, okay, my dad would say, okay, this is the one that will always set us apart from everyone. It wasn't really so much like that. It was a lot more kind of, people. It was a lot more how it was people from the outside who started noticing those differences. Because for us being on the inside, at first I never really thought about, what's the difference? Like, I mean, fundamentally we're all the same. I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like I said, it's kind of like, let's say, looking at different BJJ gyms, right? Everyone technically teaches the same fundamentally, but each school kind of emphasizes on something. So basically, that's kind of like how I see it with us, where for us there was a certain emphasis because of the fact that, I mean, the one thing people would always say would be more of like the hip, right? How we would kind of like twist the hip, adding in that power. And the thing is, the reason why also the hips are emphasized is not just because of the fact that, with Sagasa, with Mocho, also with I mean, whether it's boxing as well, or even with karate, how my dad grew up with, it wasn't just all of that, but even within the old archives of KI, coming in from Tata would always say like it's all body weight with the hip, so it's also coming from all of that. It just so happens that we emphasize it a little bit more, but that's just kind of like, I mean, for me coming in as a dancer, the hips will definitely get emphasized a little bit more, maybe a little bit more to the extreme compared to how my dad would do it, but there's just those things. Another would be more of the use of the offhand. Now, the thing is, these are just kind of, people may say, it's just the hip, it's just the offhand. It's just like little things, but it's those little things that really kind of change the bigger picture, So the offhand, for example, would be, I mean, for us, it wasn't so much of kind of just like, let's say, a parry or a tap. It would always be either, there's always a grip of how my dad would get it. So every time, who's ever experienced with him, every time he gets a grip, there would always be kind of like these nail marks on here, almost like a tiger claw, because he really grips it. And another thing would be more of the way he would hit it. The way he would hit it's almost coming in from his emphasis of karate, which is, how in karate, whenever they would block, technically it's also an attack. It's basically that way. And then coming in from the Mocho is whenever he gets those grip, whenever he uses the offhand, there's always this sinking motion involved, which, if it comes off very like, Chinese martial arts, but old videos of Tatan, coming from Tatan himself, would even say, you want to be able to sink your opponent down, body weight, you want to kind of trip him over. That's one of those things on there. And I mean, that's just kind of like nitpicking the ones that are different. But let's say, for example, depending on, let's say, whose instructor is teaching, depending on, the Ricketts lineage instructors, I don't expect everyone to be exactly the same as me. That's the one thing for sure. Everyone will have that emphasis, kind of like what I mentioned before, as to whether it's someone might have mentioned like a focus on Sagasa or things like that. I mean, the one thing like for me would be more of, if I'm really kind of saying like the difference would be kind of the approach of how I do certain things. That's just me, kind of the way I grew up with. Meaning, let's say I teach one technique. After going through, let's say, a certain technique, I'd say, okay, here's your technique. I don't just say, okay, that's it, and then you finish. Let's say going through in Australia, I would say, okay, check to see your grip. Okay, what if, let's say, for example, you have that range. Okay, you can use an Aldovus. What if, let's say, for example, he has a big belly. You can't go in Aldovus because it's going to get stuck. So you got to use a planchette, things like that, where there's always this what if situation. What if he does this? What if he does this? What if he chops but his blade slides down? What do you do? There's always those things, instead of just me saying, okay, this is it, and then let's move on from there. In Tagalog, we call it more of, because this is how my dad would always do it. It's like, there's an alaga, inaalagaan. I think, was it again translation? It's almost like you're taking care of them. Mm-hmm. I think that would be the case of it. Like, you're really taking care of that student, where you want them to, at the end of the day, you don't want them to just kind of just to go through the motion. but to have an understanding of it as well, where it will enhance whatever martial arts they're doing, other styles that they're doing. It will continue enhancing all of that, which goes back to the whole fried rice, right? Adding a little bit
Yeah.
more. You know, it's basically that.
I can attest to that because throughout my career in KI, I'm always the smallest guy in class. Okay, it's never been a time where somebody's shorter than I am. So, and I talked to Master Toper about that, and it's like, Master Topes, I'm always getting smashed, you know. So that's why he had me do the tatlong bao and have me really concentrate on understanding my angle, not just trying to come in without factoring in the reach issue. So to me, again, that was mind blowing, revolutionary, because now I can do the engaño without getting hit, then come in. You know, and I credit Master Topper on that because again, he was so adamant about Jeff, you gotta know tatlong bao. You cannot skip that. That was the main thing that he got for me when I first came in. That was it. It was like you got to do that, and then it sure enough he was right because when I was sparring Brandon and his brother in the beginning, I was always getting smashed. And guys, remember these guys were like they're at the peak of their speed. They're young bucks, man. They wanted to hit, and here I'm coming in. I'm already old, right? So Master Topper had pity on me and gave me that, Jeff, you gotta be watchful. And sure enough, after years went by, I began to learn. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the fundamental is, again, to me, as I teach it, I tell my own students, you can't skip that. There is no way you can skip the footwork. Knowing the angle, that is fundamental, like Master Topper said. And again, even through these years, I continue to reference that because, like I mentioned, it's not only works for taller guys, it also works for little guys like me. You know what I'm saying? I always spar bigger guys. I don't know what it is. It's like guys always are taller. Of course, we're in America, the land of the giants to me. Right? So I can attest to the effectiveness, if you will. That's why I'm so grateful. I want to pass that on to my students as well.
All right. Anybody else?
Oh yeah. So, but just to add on, like this one thing is that what Guru Jeff mentioned is that because back in the day it was definitely that where there was kind of an emphasis as to because my dad had this like kind of because my dad was all about application and sparring, right? So every time we would always kind of teach us a certain way of how to kind of deal with, let's say, okay, you're fighting someone who's taller, you're fighting someone who's shorter, you're fighting someone who's the same height. There's always kind of like a different approach to it. My dad never really kind of mentioned, I will kind of really described it like that. He would just say, okay, you're fighting someone taller, just go in, kill their range. You're fighting someone who's about the same height as you, you can kind of keep your range, you know, things like that. But nowadays, how I always kind of tell my students is that, you know, whenever you're coming in with me, I'll teach you, you know, whenever I teach them KI. If you're, let's say, about like shorter than me, I mean, then I'll be like, okay, well, shorter than me or about the same height. Then I'll teach you the way of kind of how it fundamentally is. But then there's certain adjustments that can actually play for your body type, you know. And then, you know, if you're taller, okay, I'll teach you kind of like how the original way is. But usually it's not like saying I can fight like as a taller person, but it's more of there's certain techniques in the street so that kind of works and favors a lot more of the taller people. But there's also the short kings as well, you know what I mean? Like you kind of do some things. But it's really kind of more of it's really kind of having that, I guess, fighter mentality, as you will, where you adjust accordingly depending on who your opponent is. Instead of doing, okay, this is what I was taught, I'll keep doing this without making any kind of adjustments because he's taller, he has longer arms, you know, things like that. Or do I just keep attacking the leg even though he's taller? No, I'll go for the legs because he's a lot shorter. If I go for the legs, he's gonna want to bend over. Now I can reach the head, then I'll go. You know, like kind of that mindset. But yeah, emphasizing on the different body types whenever it comes to the teaching. Yeah, Ruby. I think you're over here on my screen. Viko?
No,
Anything?
I just can only just reinforce what everyone said. Master Trooper was a him and his colleagues in the Bakbakan, they all had an eye. There was one thing that really a blessing that came out with that first generation who was under Tatang, right? Is that because they were so talented to pick up an art that was never really an art from the beginning. It was someone's way of fighting and killing someone, and then decomposing that and then being able to teach it. It's a certain skill set, and Master Trooper had it, right? Master Tony had it. They were able to do that, and that just tells you again that illustration is a situational art. You don't have a favorite move. You don't have a favorite style or favorite strike, right? You're very situational, and situational could be where the angle's from, where your hand is. If your hand's up, your hand's down. If your left foot forward, your right foot forward. But also your height, right? Who you're fighting. If they're tall, if he's short. And the best thing on their Master Trooper is he's coaching you because the fact that he says, be careful of being fed by one person all the time. You have to be fed by different people to get different flavors and different energies and different situations. And that's what he emphasized, and he would speak that to what everyone said here, that he'll coach you based on who you're fighting, tall, short, long, whatever, fat, skinny. Again, just
Agreed.
something that we would love to, show everyone and have experience.
Agreed.
This lineage.
Okay. Let's play a bit, and we'll talk about your extensive video collection. Should be able to.
Is this the this is the I think the Tatang compilation.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Because I'm not sure if the others saw the first video as well, but I think you just play it within.
I can play that.
Is it playing? I'm not sure if it's playing.
This line, you can't see it?
I don't. Oh, I guess it's probably just on me. Oh, there it is.
Bantayan, Cebu. Marami kong marunong ng artist ko na. Ano ba mag-class yan? Marami.
So that one is Edgar Solita with Tatang.
Partical, Australia.
The baby over there, that's actually my older brother. In the corner.
Nice.
All right, let's play this one that I open up with. We can play it again then.
Dito na yan. Pag pumasok ka doon ka na. Yan. 6. Oh, Panginoon. Kadena. Kadena. Kadena ba? Kadena. Chain.
Remove the...
Talo, no? Wait! Get out! Tamaan ka dyan. Oh.
Yeah, just the blade. You cannot think the blade. The blade is here, the wood blade.
So those are just like a couple of the videos that I was able to find out. But yeah, so in the first video, the baby over there, that was my older brother. But on the last video, that was me. So I was actually, I think around 4 years old when I guess met Tatang. So yeah, since I almost got hit, my dad called me out to get out of there because I was going to get hit. So, there's just that. But it was just funny, just kind of adding it in. But the thing is, within kind of those compilation videos, that's just a couple compared to what I have, just to kind of show that, my dad was also on there in terms of the training, but there's a lot more of the videos of Tatang actually teaching it, because it was that time that as Tatang would teach it, and also with Tony Diego as well, as my dad would record it, because Tatang and Tony, I think, because they had a different dialect compared to Tagalog. It was a little bit more different. My mom could actually understand it. So usually whenever I'd watch archive videos, if there's a lot of things that I can't understand, I'll kind of show it to my mom, and then I'll have her kind of translate it to me. But usually it would come off where like either my dad would either ask the questions, or Tony Diego would ask the questions with Tata, because Tata would kind of respond in their dialect, and then he would kind of translate it to my dad. Kind of like how it was a while ago. There was like a short clip when it's talking about, say, the Di Cadena, and then like the chain of strikes on there. There was one of them, one of the original ones. But I was surprised that in terms of the video, because the video is a little bit more longer than that one. Because there was a part in the video, I'm not sure if it's there, Dean, but there's a part of the video when Tata was actually talking about mentioning his name, and also some of the original techniques that he mentioned, Australia, Cadena, Sunkit, all that stuff. I'm not sure if it was shown on there, because it was kind of cut short. Because it should be like about a minute long for that video.
You replay if you want. Which one on?
Oh no, because for the compilation video of Tatang, it should be about a minute long.
So not the one with you, not the one with him and your father. The other one.
Yes, because it should be about a minute long, because there's towards the end there's still him kind of talking. But it seemed like it was cut short.
Let's see.
It's after that one, yeah.
Why is it? Come on here. Why is it not showing? Let me see here. Why is it not?
Yeah, because that video, the one in the house, is actually with because my dad was taking a video, and that was the time when Mang Romy was there, and that's a young Mang Romy.
I don't know why it's related. So this one here, you're saying at the end, it should be saying that? Okay.
Yeah. There it is.
I can see it. I don't know why.
But yeah, that's just like kind of just like a couple of it, but I just wanted to kind of emphasize that because there was a part of the old. Oh, there.
Yung pluma. Linuma niya yung tang. Pluma yun. Ito niyo illustration mo. Bantayan, Cebu. Marami mong marunong ng artist ko lang. Ano ba ang klase yan? Maraming klaseng harness.
Can you guesstimate, Brandon? Can you guesstimate how much video did your dad take? I mean, what is the? I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. Like I saw it in your garage, right? I saw those stacks
things like slacks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, in your opinion, how much? I mean, they must be like at least more than 8 hours.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. The thing is, like, what I've shown, let's say, from what I've shown Dean before, in terms of his the videos, that's not even scratching. Like, it's probably just scratching about like maybe 1%, 2% of it. The compilation clip, that's just like about. It's a lot. That's one thing where it's a lot that even right now I'm still transferring the DVDs to the cloud just because it's a lot. Plus, that's the thing is that some of the videos sometimes won't play, so I have to use like a different kind of player to be able to kind of play those videos. But it's definitely a lot of videos that it ranges from the early days all the way up to the day that that Tatang, like during his final days. Where that video with me on there when my dad was telling me to get away, that was around I think 96 or even close to 97, because that was the time that it was really during that time already. That's really old. That time when Tatang was teaching, that last video, Edgar Salita was also there as well, because they were doing kind of an interview with Tatang, with some of the I think Edgar Salita brought those two students because I think they were from the US, if I'm not mistaken, and so Tatan was showing techniques and also kind of explaining like his system as well. So it was more on that, but it's a lot. I'm very grateful that my dad was able to convert him from VHS to DVDs, and even before like those cassette tapes. So he was able to kind of do all the transfers for me. So I'm doing my job of just kind of doing my transfer from DVD to the digital, just so because because they're not gonna last long. That's one thing for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Tour. Let's get into it. So, when are you arriving?
So I'll be arriving in August because I'll be flying out here August 1st. So I'll be arriving August 1st, and so the first weekend, I believe that's it was that Sunday, will be more of the seminar in LA. So Mike Macabenta is actually hosting me. If ever, you can also check out Pamana Kali, I think the his Instagram handle is. So that's kind of where I'm doing my first seminar. And then afterwards, the second weekend of that seminar will be in San Diego, and go for the HQ. So you can actually message Guru Jeff about it if ever you're interested. The third weekend is actually it's more of a private seminar. So it's more of I'm actually going to New York. A student of mine, his name is Jeff Chung, is the one who's hosting me, but it's just exclusively just for them. But if let's say you just happen to be in the area, I'm going to be open for private since I'm going to be there from the 14th to the 18th. So, if ever you want to come by, even just get a quick session with me, just let me know. And then the last weekend, well, technically it's on a Monday, would be more of the one in San Francisco. I think this is the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. August 26th is when I'll be teaching at San Francisco. The school is called I believe Legacy Martial Arts. I've never been there before, but I think Guro Viko has taught over there.
So who's hosting you?
I think my did my camera freeze?
It's working on my end. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, I think, Joseph Bautista, I think, his group.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Nate?
Yeah, I think it seems like I froze. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if my camera froze. I am frozen.
On my end.
Let's see. Give me a second.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. But yeah, so the last one is just in San Francisco for those who are available. They can hit up Legacy Martial Arts and kind of send them a message. But
So, is it pretty like far as your time here? Is it there's if somebody else wanted to host you, is it gonna be pretty tough to accommodate due to your time?
Yeah, for that one, yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough work. I wish I was able to do kind of like a longer kind of so I'll be able to kind of stay there longer, or I could have gone there early in July, but there's some issues that kind of happened before, so I was like, oh well, August seems like it was the best option for me. I would stay longer, but I have nursing school sadly in September. It starts, so that's why I'm only going to be there towards the end of August. But
Right.
But yeah, so the whole plan would be more of hopefully by next time I should be able to kind of stay there instead of just a month. Will be like 2 months, so that way I'll be able to kind of go to different cities a lot more. And for those who are interested in hosting me, they'll be able to, since there's a lot more time frame at that point.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So what do you want, what's your goals, Nikamaya? What do you want folks to leave with after they attend your seminar? Like, what do you want them to see or hear from you?
So the one thing is that what I want them to kind of see is more of how my dad's, it really is more of kind of how my dad kind of emphasized a lot more of the different, I guess you could say, or how his KI was basically enhanced and how he passed it on to me, how I passed it on to my students, that they can see that, okay, I can see that there's certain emphasis on here that when you take this, it shouldn't kind of, you wouldn't have to throw away all your other stuff that you have, but should completely enhance it even more, just adding on. I want them to be able to kind of leave that day where they understand what this technique is for, instead of just kind of going through the motion, that they have a better understanding of it. it's really more of that where I know for a fact that they'll be able to kind of understand it. If they spar with it, they should be able to use it for sparring right away. That's kind of like the main thing, at least for me. But I mean, that's really what I emphasize on the understanding of it, not just kind of going. I mean, not just going through the whole thing, but just know for a fact that okay, certain positions of the blade, it matters. Where the offhand is, it matters. You can't just shoot it straight in. There's this kind of wipe, wax off kind of motion that happens. There's this sinking motion that happens. How do you really make use of your body weight when it comes to it? Things like that. I mean, understanding the range is a given. It's already part of that. I mean, for any lineage that they teach, but certain kind of small details, people hopefully would appreciate it by the time I actually meet up with them or when they get a chance to experience it with me.
Yeah.
Can I interject real quick? One of the things that really
Go ahead.
one of the things that really is beautiful about the KI at Master Tope's passed on is that you can adapt it to the individual. Because right now I have people who are not physically able to do certain things, whether it's a bad back or bad knees or whatever. But the principles and the foundational skills are still passable. In other words, they're not based on whether or not you have this or not. It's pliable enough so that you still have structure, but in teaching it with people who are have some sort of disability or whatnot, it's still applicable. It's still passable. And that's one of the things I'm beginning to see because I have students who have prior injuries from serving. Because San Diego, obviously, we serve the military a lot, and I do have people who come in who were injured, so I have to adapt and make sure that they could participate as well as get the most out of what we offer. So, in that sense, uh, the principles and the techniques that Master Topper has passed on, indeed, from my own experience, is indeed solid. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can't pass it on, if there's you can only do this if you're such and such, or no bad backs or what, no bad knees. There's something to say about that. And again, like I said, I find out very gratifying in my own experience. Because I have a soft spot for people who serve. I mean, they have sacrificed so much, and I don't want to be the guy to turn them down, saying you can't do the art because of your problem. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones who need it more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they have to deal with somebody, they have to do something that's real, as it were. So that might have been my experience lately. I've been getting a few more students like that, and you know, and I can attest to the way Master Topper structured it.
No, I think it's admirable that you're working with them. I think, good stuff. All right, what's your future goals? PG, what's your future goals for the faction? To get back, seminar? I mean, like, where's what do you want to move forward to?
Well, I mean, really the goal is to have the whole Ricketts lineage a lot more kind of, I guess you could say, much more established out there, where it's a lot more kind of well known, where people will be exposed to a lot more. I mean, being exposed to KI, that's one thing, but I'm not saying, I don't want to come off and say, okay, you only have to learn Ricketts lineage. That's not what I'm trying to say. My main thing is as long as they kind of see more of, when they start learning from us, when it's established out there, they'll also appreciate what my father has contributed in terms of the industries and community. It's more of that. They'll get a better understanding of it. Of course, there are others that were able to meet my dad. There are others that weren't. But in terms of the legacy still lives on within his students. I mean, it also helps that I actually look like my dad. So, I mean, also I shave my head. That's one thing. But the thing is, they'll kind of get an idea, a better understanding of it. They'll know they'll get their, taken care of and whatnot. But it really just more of that whole legacy of my dad and also just passing it on from Tatang to my father to me to everyone else. It's really more of that. At least for me, that's just me being, the nice guy that I am.
So sounds like you're embracing more and more your role, you being the leader of this faction. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because especially since I mean, I mentioned before, I'm in nursing school, so because I will be coming back to the U.S. I will return. I'm actually gonna stay there for good as well. So I will be moving back in a couple of years. So at least by that time, it's already established. For at least I'll be able to kind of meet a lot of people. Those who want to train will appreciate it more. It's like, oh, okay, those that are from, let's say, Guro or from Antoni and everything. With anyone, anyone's really welcome. Because I just want it to be like how it was from back in the day. How my dad would always tell me that in terms of their training, it was all good. Everyone would exchange techniques fine, but there was no bad blood with anyone. It was all nothing but just love and support. It was really just that. And I want to make kind of establish that by not not trying to be any like political or anything. It's really just me. But yeah, But you guys, you guys want to add on?
When in doubt, defer.
Well, that's the goal, all right? I mean, that's the goal as a whole. We care USAs. We want to make sure that if people want to be interested in what Master Topper has established and it has put together, we're here. We're not going anywhere, right? We're committed to perpetuating the curriculum as Master Topper taught it, but we are in no wise stuck there. We're open minded as our Master Topper was to explore, to see what's out there, but never forgetting our roots, never forgetting that this is the faction that we represent. We're very proud of it. We're very thankful. I know I am speaking personally that I've had an opportunity to have met Master Topper when he was alive and have trained with him throughout the years and stuff. And it's again, Viko and I have talked about this. It's like it's a honor, a privilege to have had that interaction with him, and it's only right for us to share that. And he was so sharing. To be honest with you, he never charged extra for anything that he gave us. He never did. He was so giving. He was so. I mean, how can we not? We're only good as our master, as it were. So as our master is, so are we. We want to represent him that way. And moving forward, we're hoping that people will share that we will be able to um, have a small glimpse of what we experience through the art.
Sounds good. Go Vico, anything?
Yeah, no, it's. I think I can speak to a lot of martial artists who can really be grateful about who their master, right? Without their dedication, without their commitment and their passion, a lot of us wouldn't be able to have such opportunities that we have right now. Travel the world, open our own schools. Without them, we wouldn't have these blessings that sometimes even they were not even able to enjoy themselves, right? And so you can't take it away from us to want to be able to represent that for Master Trooper to continue that legacy and to be a little bit more specific, right? Even within the digital community, Master Tuper's role in Lustrissimo is a bit muted, right? So again, it's of course it's we would like to have it a little bit more prominent that he was part of where Lustrissimo is. Him and Master Tony were the same. They got attached to their students, and they're very open. They don't charge students, and that's something that they both shared, and we all have as well. We're not a closed group. We're very open, and that's it. It's welcome. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. And it's good. I look at the people watching here from the Guro group was also watching. Guru Ramon, Arnold, Coach Arnold, and then we've got Master Dan Medina. Hello, all these guys, Eric. I mean, it's even the guys watching is a whole mix of different people from different areas all coming together. I can tell you right now, Master Tuper, if Master Tuper was here, he'd be really happy that he sees everyone coming together. So
Awesome. All right. Any final words, PG, for the community?
So, I mean, one thing for sure, thank you all for, making the time, coming out to watch and everything. And then, if you happen to be forgetting any of those, within the August, make sure to come by the seminar. But also, if ever you just happen to be in the area, you just want to come out and say hi, please do so. I just love meeting everyone. Also, kind of just talking about KI. If you want to ask more questions, let's say how it was, in terms of, let's say, information about archive videos, things like that. But it just anything you want KI related you want to talk about, feel free. You want to know how the trading was back in the day? Sure. Sagasa, Moshe, all that stuff. I always kind of have a talk with anyone who's also kind of a fanatic of martial arts, But if you happen to be a dancer, I mean, I am too. But really, again, I really appreciate you all for kind of making the time, really coming out to watch. I know some of you are also listening to this driving home. Be careful. Make sure your eyes on the road. Got to be careful. But again, we all really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hey, thanks. Went well. Ton of comments, viewers, likes, all the above. So, sounds like it was a fair enough to say a success. So you do the usual drill. I download it and I'll post it. Okay.
Great. All right. That's KC Russ.
All right, guys. I'm off to Dogland. So, yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thanks, Dean.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. All right, you guys take care.
Take care, guys.
Right.
Yeah. See you guys in a couple weeks.
Ciao, ciao.
All right.
Take care.
That should get all right. And that wraps up 488. Who is next? Actually, some pretty good ones. Cat and Joe, Mike Brewster. Yeah, he's coming on. And I cannot wait. This guy, just talking about on the phone. Yeah, just fascinating. So Mike Brewster, those who early Anasano guy. Kind of doing his own thing now, but anytime from him. Really good guy, really interesting, and I think so anyhow. But at any rate, Tondo Boy, the guy who used to train, I guess back in the day with Master Jim Tony. There you go. Somebody introduced me via Instagram, no less. Maya, we're gonna be bringing her back on. Third book released, in there. So definitely some good stuff coming on. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I thought so too. As always, we pinned that family discussion. You guys will be able to see, check it out. But definitely some good ones coming up to the big 500. And then we'll see what I'm gonna do then. Nice to see. Absolutely. Yeah. Ramon, do you know Tondo Boy? He's a guy on Instagram. That's not his real name, of course. Actually, you know what? If you're still on here, let me find out his real name. It's coming up. Bear with me. Tondo Boy, that's not his real name, though. Oh my gosh, hold on. Here, his name's gonna be in here somewhere. He lives in Canada. Josh is his name. Anyway, yeah. So if that rings a bell to you, lives in Canada. Trained back in the day with GM Tony. So, all right, folks. We'll see you next time.